This 2-in-1 laptop might have just ended the Surface Pro line. Let me tell you why. So this is the newest laptop from ASUS called the ProArt PZ13. This features the all-new Snapdragon X Plus processor with 8 cores, so this thing being the base processor from Qualcomm should give you guys an idea on its price point. And the price is actually pretty incredible for $1099, and I'll give you guys the reason as to why later in the video. Now, don't let the spec sheet fool you. Despite it being at the bottom of the list in Qualcomm's Snapdragon X lineup, this laptop still performed really well for those looking for a laptop to use for web browsing, watching videos, doing lighter tasks, like small photo editing and maybe even playing some low demanding games. Now, this isn't a gaming laptop, nor is this going to be the kind of laptop that'll give you the best of the best performance. But for an ARM laptop that's also a 2-in-1 that doubles as a tablet, it might just be the best bang for the buck laptop in 2024. And we'll go over its performance and its battery later, so without rambling on too much, let's get a quick refresher on its specs real quick. The ProArt PZ13 that I have in the studio comes with the Snapdragon X Plus processor. It also comes with 1 TB of SSD, and it also comes with 16 gigs of RAM at 8400 megatransfers per second, which is not user upgradable. And I also don't think ASUS is making an option to spec this with 32 gigs either. Now, in terms of ports, there's actually only 2 here. There's 2 USB-C ports here that, they're both rated at USB 4 speeds. If you plug in a Thunderbolt drive on here, it works just fine. Now, what did surprise me here though is the inclusion of a full-size SD card reader, and this is awesome for creators like myself who shoots a ton of photos and videos, and I can easily transfer those files to this laptop without having the need for a USB-C hub. So this is great. Also, out of the box, you get 2 things with it: a keyboard case and a backplate cover to help you prop up your laptop in a bunch of different angles, and we'll go over the keyboard case in just a few minutes. Now, the display on here is a 13-inch 3K OLED display with a 60 Hz refresh rate, which, yes, I know 120 Hz or even 90 Hz would have been so much better here. But this is part of their ProArt series, so high refresh rate is kind of out of the picture for now, but hopefully they rethink their decision on refresh rate in the next series of laptops next year and give us 90 Hz or 120 Hz panels. But yeah, this display is gorgeous, it's crisp and very sharp, and the colors look vibrant and blacks are deep thanks to that OLED panel. And the brightness is just right. Peak brightness is about 500 nits with HDR and about 400 nits or so with SDR content, and this is usually the sustained brightness. Now, I will say the actual display though is probably a little bit glossier than I'd like. It's fine for indoor use with normal lighting, but once you get in a room with lots of natural light, I wouldn't say it handles reflections the best, but besides that, the display is gorgeous. In terms of build quality though, it's built really well. It's very sturdy, very premium feeling, and I love the nano black color on these ProArt series laptops that they have this year. It's fingerprint resistant, and yeah, it's a looker for sure. Now, going back to the included keyboard case and cover, first off, I kind of wish that they kind of kept the theme of all black everything with these ProArt accessories. Here on the PZ13, the cover comes in this moss green color or olive green color, and it looks fine. It does look good, but I kind of prefer it to be stealthy since the laptop is technically matte black. Now, the keyboard thankfully is actually black and has a chiclet style keys, and I think it offers good tactility and travel. Now, I'm not super in love with this keyboard just because I prefer keys on an actual laptop, but you guys might like it. And the trackpad on here is relatively big as well. This also comes with gestures to adjust brightness and volume controls right on the trackpad, which is cool. But yeah, keyboard cover is about 50-50 for me, but I do love that this isn't something that you gotta pay extra for. Okay, now I know I said in the beginning of this video that, this is the base processor from Qualcomm, but check this out. In Cinebench 2024, this Qualcomm X Plus processor inside this laptop isn't actually that far off from Apple's M1 Pro in multi-core, and as far as single core goes, it's just right in line with Apple's M1 lineup using, less power overall. Now, this PZ13 is technically targeted towards professional creatives, but I'll be honest here, Windows on ARM and its native apps aren't really there yet. Now, yes, we have, translation layers that we can use for the meantime, but to get the best of the best performance natively, I feel like we're still, a few months away or maybe a couple of years away from that. And until we're at that point, we won't really get the full benefit of these Qualcomm chips on Windows and get the full potential out of these machines. But with that being said though, day to day, I still came away very impressed with its overall performance throughout Windows and some of the apps that I was able to use on this machine. Now, whether I'm just working on, Word documents or watching videos, maybe doing some light photo editing, I didn't feel like I needed more performance. I felt like everything ran fine and it did what it needed to do. Now, this is the kind of laptop I'd bring with me on vacation or just, lug around the house if I just wanted a laptop that'll last me an entire day without having to reach for the charger. And speaking of battery life, like I mentioned earlier, is incredible on this laptop. With a 70 watt-hour battery on board, the most I was able to get out of this laptop is about 18.5 hours on a single charge, which is just crazy in my opinion. So if you're the type of person who uses their laptop for, media consumption, spreadsheet work, or a lot of web apps, this laptop should definitely be at the top of your list. Because if you want the best battery life on a Windows machine and you're looking for a tablet that also turns into a laptop, this is it. Now, remember what I said in the beginning of the video, why I said this might have just ended the Surface Pro line? Well, that's because if you look at this laptop as an overall package, you're getting a ton for its price compared to the Surface Pro. So if we were to break it down and compare its price and specs against the Surface Pro, with this ProArt PZ13 for $1099 US, you're getting a 13-inch 3K OLED display, 1 terabyte of SSD, 16 gigs of RAM, 2 USB-C 4 ports, a full-size SD card reader, and of course you get the keyboard case inside the box. For the Surface Pro, on the other hand, for $999 US, you're getting a 13-inch LCD display, 256 gigs of SSD, 16 gigs of RAM, 2 USB 4 ports, and that's it. Yes, you also have a Qualcomm X Plus processor with 10 cores, but the keyboard, you gotta spend an extra $140 on this. So if you add the laptop and the keyboard, this is already above the $1099 price tag of the PZ13. You're also not getting an SD card reader here, so yeah. Even if we were to spec the Surface Pro with 512 gigs of SSD, it'll be $1199 as base and then add $140 for the keyboard, and you're already at $240 above the PZ13, and you're still getting less. 512 gigs less, no OLED display, and no SD card reader. So as far as best bang for the buck goes, for $1099, you're getting a better display, bigger storage, a full-size SD slot, and the keyboard is already included, which is amazing. Now, this laptop may not be the perfect laptop for everyone, but if you want a laptop with the best battery life that's running Windows 11, this might just be it. Just don't expect this to run heavy demanding apps like other Snapdragon X Elite chips, or even ones that are using Intel or AMD chips. But if you want something that you can just lug around the house, bring with you on your trips or your vacation, that'll perform great and last an entire day on a single charge, I think you'll find this to be a really great pickup.